Howdy folks, this video here is learning how to punctuate with quotations. We're going to learn 3 different ways to introduce and punctuate quotations correctly. So as always, make sure you're grabbing those notes, follow along, and let's get through this. All right, so the first one we're going to talk about is a continuation of our last lesson, which is using colons to create a quotation. And this is when you're going to introduce your quotation within a complete sentence, so a full independent clause, basically meaning that we could cut off the quotation and whatever is still left still makes sense, right? The quotation just clarifies how we introduced it. So let me give you an example. Abraham Lincoln offered me some advice. I could leave that's a full sentence, right? An independent clause. So I'd use the colon, and you can find anything on the internet. Pretty sure Abraham Lincoln said that. So notice how I capitalize you here, because I'm starting a new independent clause. And even though I'm not starting technically a new sentence, it's a quotation within this larger sentence, I'm still going to capitalize that first letter. And notice that my punctuation at the end goes inside the quotation marks. Unless I have like a parenthetical citation, that punctuation is going to go on the inside. All right, so rule number 2 is called dialogue quotes. And these are called dialogue quotes because it's when we use a word like says. So a speaking word. So for example, like says or said, states, yells, asks, told, mentions, right? Anything that implies two people were talking, or, you could use it as writing. If I'm quoting from a book, I could say, Fitzgerald says blank in The Great Gatsby. Technically, he's doing the writing. So here's an example. Thoreau asks, "Why should we live with such a hurry and a waste of life?" Thanks, Thoreau. Thoughtful. So some things to remember about these ones is, again, I want you to notice the placement of the punctuation. Comma goes right after that dialogue word. And since we're starting, again, basically kind of a quasi-new sentence, a new independent clause here, I'm going to capitalize this first letter here. And then I do have a space between my comma and my quotation marks. The last one is called either an integrated quote or a flow quote. Either one works. And this is where if we don't have any, we're not going to use any punctuation between words and the quoted words if this is the case. Basically, if that dialogue word isn't right next to our quotation. So notice how this one is listed. Emerson said that whosoever must be a man must be a nonconformist. This is the quote that he said, but that is kind of getting in the way between the dialogue word and the actual quotation. So in this case, no comma, lowercase letter. That kind of takes the place of the quotation or the comma. We could also look this way. We could have more than just the word that, but Katie told the girls this will be the best pizza you ever had, right? I do have a dialogue word in there. I have told, but again, it's spaced out from the actual quotation. So I'm just going to basically integrate this quote into the regular grammar and the kind of writing of my own sentence. And lastly, this could even be a single word. Like the students described his test as terrific. If terrific is the only word that I wanted to use, I thought that was the most important word, and I wanted to know, you to know, like this is what the student actually said about his test. I could just put that single word in quotes and still notice how the punctuation goes on the inside. And again, just highlight some of these important parts here where I'm noticing that there's words in between my dialogue word and the rest of the quote. Or there's, same thing here, described as one of those dialogue words, but it's not directly next to the quote. So we're just going to keep this flowing in the regular grammar of our sentence. So no capitalization is needed for these ones. Okay. Do John Cena proud. Fix this sentence. And this one's going to be a little bit tricky. I'm going to tell you that there are 3 things that we need to fix on this one. See if you can find all 3. Okay, did you do it? Did you do it for John Cena? Let's see how well you did. Cool. So first off, we are introducing a quote with a full sentence. So the advice I got from Harry Potter helped change my life. Totally fine sentence, right? I could stop right there and people would be like, okay, cool. You got some great advice from Harry Potter. Good for you, man. Since that works, this is an independent clause. So I'm going to use a colon here. So it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. Remember that. So if we go back here and take a look at it, this is a comma splice. So throwing way back to our independent clause commas. Tried to trick you up on that one a little bit. As I say, period, you remember that. The you is implied here. So really, like, I'm not going to say you remember that, but if I say remember that, the subject of my sentence is going to be you. And then the last one, which I forgot to fix, is the period needs to go on the inside of the quotation marks here. So shame on me, Mr. Restad, missed one on that one. Cool. All right, folks. So those are the 3 ways that we're going to either introduce or integrate quotes with the correct punctuation. Good luck.